In this video, I'm going to show you how to control the traffic or the amount of requests going into your Cloud Run service. The reason I want to talk about this is that behind your Cloud Run service, you may either have a database that doesn't scale very well, so you want to control the amount of traffic goes into your database. The other thing you might have is you probably are calling an API, right, behind your Cloud Run service, which could cost you a lot of money. And you want to make sure you limit the concurrency, the total amount of workers you have in there in a controlled way. So in those two scenarios, you might want to do something like this. So with no surprise, again, I'm using the pops up message queue to simulate this traffic because it's very easy. You can just send. So in this case, I'm sending 1 million messages in a very controlled way over 270 seconds, right? To simulate the traffic. On the other side, what I've done is basically to set up the Cloud Run service to be a push subscriber of the message queue. So all of that messages will be pushed into the Cloud Run service. In the Cloud Run service, if you want to control the traffic, you need to do typically two things. One is the maximum concurrent request per instance. This basically says up to 10 requests concurrently can land on every single instance or worker in your Cloud Run service. So that's per instance, right? Not overall. And this one, you can actually adjust the max number of instances. In this case, I set it to 5. You're only allowing to up to 50 request concurrency for the whole setup of this service. So now let's look at the message subscriber metric. So this is the one that goes into the push subscription to the Cloud Run service. You can see the metric here with the oldest unacknowledged message age is going up. What this means is the Cloud Run service is unable to handle the pressure of all of that request coming in. So that's why there are increasing number of unacknowledged messages in the message queue, right? But eventually, when it was able to process it, this was going down, right? If you look at the Cloud Run service itself, after the cap we set it, if you go down to here, you can see very quickly it's scaled up to 5 active instances or 5 workers, right? No more, no less. But this was the maximum it was able to handle the request. And if you go down further, in the maximum concurrent request, you can see it was capped around 10 requests concurrently per instance. So in combination, this is how it controls the volume. One thing interesting is you can see there is an error message in here. The error message says the request was aborted because there was a no available instance. And this is actually intended. And what this is if you look at the logs, you see a request that has a 429 HTTP code, right? So 429 is a code explaining here that tells you there's no available container instances. So you know that it's reached the cap. But what's interesting is it's not doing this all the time, right? So you can see in the log analytics, I've actually aggregated to, so this is all of the, so I did this whole thing twice. I sent 2 million messages. I tried this twice just to see the consistency in there. So you can see that overall, I sent about 2 million messages in there. And then the 429, you're talking about only over 1,000. So it wasn't actually constantly giving you this 429 error. And then you have a few 500 errors. I think this is just because I've given the each instance to be too small. So occasionally get a error in there that's, is kind of a destroy the request. But overall, you can see it managed to process all of the 2 million messages. And then with some 429s that you can see it reached the quota. But in this way, that it can, this is how it can manage the volume of your requests, right? So as far as I know, this is the only way you can control the flow of the Cloud Run services to protect your backend services, whatever that Cloud Run service calls behind the scenes to restrict this volume. If you know any other ways, please let me know. Code 429 here is not considered an error, right? It will send the messages back into the message queue to be retried, but it's not considered as kind of a failure. It is the intended way, as far as I know, used to handle the volume, to control the volume, to make sure your services behind Cloud Run doesn't get destroyed or cost you a lot of money. Hope that's useful, and thank you very much. I'll see you next time.